Buck Knife Collecting 101. This is designed for new collectors and for youth collectors. How did you get your first buck knife? Was it a gift, a purchase, or a find? How did you feel about your first knife? Did you like the feel of it in your hand? Could you think of all kinds of uses for your knife, or did you just like to look at it? All of those feelings are right for collectors. So you've decided to collect buck knives. Now what? Where do you start? Get ready, get set, go. Winston-Salem Tar Heels Show 2004. This is a typical knife show photograph that we took when a group of us attended this in 2004. This is a room full of knives. The knife show, how-tos. When you arrive at a dealer's table, you need to remember some very important basics. Make eye contact, smile politely, and say hello. Nothing makes people more upset than to start right in on how much without acknowledging them. Ask if you may pick up a knife from their table. Do not assume you can touch their knives without asking. Do not interrupt a sale or a conversation. If interested in a knife, do not put it down. We all have had situations where we really wanted a knife. We're standing there, we're thinking about it, and we're tapping our fingers, and we're counting our money, and then all of a sudden, by accident, we sit it down to get the money out of our back pocket, and whoop, there it goes. So, don't put it down. If you really want it, you make sure that you hang on to it until you pay for it. Once it's on the table again, it's fair game and will be gone. Be sure to say thank you for a dealer's time, even if and especially if you do not buy something. Hand a knife to someone with the handle facing them, not the blade. The knife show how-tos continued. Do not block a display and monopolize the dealer's time in a conversation if you're not buying. Allow paying customers to reach the knives. Do not restrict a dealer's access to customers. You will not get the cooperation of a dealer if you get between him and his money. If you wish to talk with or ask questions of dealers, ask if you can join them for a few minutes and let them know you want to hear about their experiences in collecting. Listen and learn. Now, this is a slight bit different. This is when you're actually going into a brick and mortar knife store or any store that sells knives. Many of the same rules apply, including being patient and waiting your turn. Seek out someone to wait on you that you can ask questions of, who knows about buck knives. Now that might be very difficult.
Does that apply to Joe Hauser's table at the show when we show up there?
Yes. Wait your turn.
Vickie, would you like us to remove this?
The only problem with that is that you would be stuck on the same slide for the remainder of the talk. So, sample questions that you might ask. Excuse me, could you help me select a knife, or can you tell me about buck knives, or would you suggest the right buck knife to take camping? Of course, say hello first. Now, the other problem with this is that if you're in a brick and mortar store, it may be possible that the person doesn't even know what a knife is, much less a buck knife. But it depends on the type of store that you go into. General places to look and ways to learn about buck knives. This was a picture of one of the shows that we attended. It just gives, this very well could be Harrisonburg. Yeah, I see the back door. Yeah, I recognize the back door. This is Harrisonburg, Virginia. How should you begin? Think about what makes you happy. Do you like to hunt, camp, fish, or mountain climb? What are your interests? Are you interested in old traditional knives or new style knives? Does a knife's artistry catch your attention? Do you like motorcycles, enjoy watching NASCAR races or sports events? Are you more attracted to folding knives or knives that don't fold? A knife collection is any group of knives that means something special to you. You can choose a theme, wildlife, or the same handle materials, or the same type, such as the 110 folder. You can collect old, new, custom advertising, or any other combination you choose. The ideas and possibilities are endless. Check out some of the Buck catalogs and see if there are styles, patterns, or trends that catch your fancy. Attend knife shows and take some time to talk with dealers and collectors. Ask them what they collect and why. Get on the Buck Knives website and ask questions. That is referring to talking with other collectors. Get in touch with some of the Buck collectors, and if you get them started on knife stories, you will be in for a great time. And it's very possible that you may not be able to get them to stop talking. Don't be pressed to buy something for the sake of buying. Buy what you're attracted to and hone your taste as you become more comfortable with your style and preferences. Search the following sources for available knives. Look in knife and gun shows, estate sales, pawn shops, antique stores, and Buck collector events. Join local clubs, keep in touch with other club members, and also seek out knives on eBay. There are also auctions, knife magazines and websites, Craigslist and yard sales. All of these sources and more will provide nuggets of treasures. If you do not see bucks, ask. They may be under a table or behind something else. We find this especially true if we go to case country. In Pennsylvania, they won't have very many buck knives out at all. But if we tell them we're looking for buck knives, they all of a sudden come out from underneath the table.
Yeah, but now they freak us out. They know who we are.
Right. So now he won't wear his buck hat in because he figures the price will go up if he wears his buck hat. Don't forget to check out hardware shops, sporting goods stores, and mom and pop shops in little towns. Smoky Mountain Knife Works is a good example of a shop with lots of choices, buck knives of course. It is amazing to see all the places buck knives show up in. In Harrisonburg, Virginia, at that particular show, one of the members there in that club owns a group of grocery stores, and he carries buck knives in his grocery store. And so even though there's chain stores around, he has a local store, and we would go in there after the show and actually purchase knives. So when you're in any little town, you can find places like that carry them in a little case in the corner, and they have old yellow boxes down underneath, and they don't know what they have, which is what I like about that. Keystone Blade Association show in Lewisburg, Pennsylvania. This is the first show, 2010, in which the Keystone Blade Association had display tables. Myself and Ken represented the Buck Collectors Club and signed up 4 new members. We were the very first displayers at that show. This show is held in February each year. Seen in the picture are cases of Ken's tactical knives collection and my daggers and advertising knives. An eBay auction in action. The pluses and minuses of buying and selling knives on eBay. Buyer beware. Note, saying a knife is rare does not make it so, and saying it is a buck doesn't really make it a real buck knife. When you try to look up something on eBay and you put in buck, you get everything. You get Buck Creek, you get deer with antlers, you get everything. So anyway, the point I was trying to make is that in particular, the Kalinga is one that always seems to have somebody writing that it is a rare buck, and there are very few of them. And nothing could really be farther from the truth. You can find them pretty regularly. This one here was an auction that's going right now, and had 9 hours left when I took this slide. And they had a buy it now price of $269. Next. Next.
You're there.
Ah, you are, I'm not. An eBay auction in action sold. So what I did is I went back to a previous auction and just took a look to just look up a particular Kalinga just to see what had happened with an earlier sale. And you should spend a few minutes doing research before jumping on an auction. Look at the Buck website, the Collectors Club website, past sales, and old catalogs if you possibly can. Decide in advance the max you can afford to spend, because the interesting thing about eBay is that you gotta have it. You don't stop to think how much you're spending. It's the I have to win the auction syndrome. And prices on eBay can really get very high and unreasonably high if you have to win. Now, I'm kind of one of those people. If I'm playing poker, for example, which I don't do very often, and I'm very poor at it, but if I'm playing poker, it doesn't matter how bad my cards are, I always insist on seeing all of them. Now, in order to do that, I have to put more money in. So I can be particularly bad on eBay because I'll end up paying too much. So I try to stay off there, because if I don't, I buy something. Next. How do you know what to do? Ask some of our pros about their specialties. For custom knives, John is a good person to ask. And for the 500 Dukes, you can go find him. How about asking about building new and fresh displays? With their 20-year time frame of putting out new displays at the Blade Show, they would be a perfect example of how to put together new and continuing displays each and every year, and they use a small subset of their particular collection. Building custom knives in Buck Inc. history, you can always go and ask Wild Bill questions.
I've had a question here. If I'm not mistaken, John, and I saw it here, but they never brought the same knife.
They brought the same
display.
They
never had the same display at any one of the 20 blade shows.
That's correct.
That's a creativity.
These are just a few of the talented, knowledgeable members you can learn from and emulate in good knife collecting practices. Just some of our Buck Club family. This was at one of the Blade shows when Sarah was giving out awards. And this is Ken with a youth member at the Winston-Salem show. His name is Luke. He wrote us a letter about how much he enjoyed his new knife and visiting with us, and that he was going to build a kit knife. What's the best way for you to learn? Do you learn by sight, sound, or reading? Will all help you. The picture on the left is more Buck Club family individuals from the 15th anniversary. And on the right was Sarah giving an award to a youth member at the Blade Show. Nothing ever stays the same. This event at the Smoky Mountain Rendezvous has brought changes along as well. The new Tang stamp listings are ready, and they're in the packets that you picked up. That also means that I was changing my packets constantly all the time we've been here, because every time I'd go to a seminar, I'd hear something that I'd talked about, and I'll take it back out. Or I had everything packed with just the old version of the paper that had the Tang stamp listings. And so now you've got two of them. You've got the old one and the new one. Members have learned in seminars how marketing material and blades are used until gone, so documentation is sometimes a bit misleading. Tang stamps and pictures do not always match knives, and that is part of what makes collecting fun. I kind of think of it as a little scavenger hunt. In fact, I like doing that better, personally, than buying things off eBay. It's the fun of the hunt that makes collecting so exciting, as far as I'm concerned. Beware of people introducing fakes and misleading information on the internet or in sales transactions. Know your subject. Be an informed collector. Study up and learn everything you can about the knives you choose to collect. Find great enjoyment with our family of collectors, and we hope you will continue to collect for many, many more years. The next group of about, 7 or 8 slides is a recap of all of the terms and definitions that were in the March 2009 newsletter that was created via the board members, and they put it together for everybody as a good sample. So I'm just going to go through these fairly quickly. However, I have some highlighted, and then I just put pictures in to reflect those items. When you create labels for displays, this list will help you identify important characteristics of knives and make it simpler to use the proper terminology for your documentation. These definitions can also assist in dating knives when full documentation is not available. The first one I decided to just do a quick picture of is a 3-liner, the knife that would reflect Buck, a model number in the USA Tang. This occurred via the 1971 to 1985 productions. There are also 2, 3, and 4 dots. But on the next slide, you see 3-liner example on the 110 and the Vanguard Tang stamp. The 110 that you see there is a blade, it's an etched blade that was put into the knife that I received at the blade show this year that had the giraffe handle, and this was a blade from a prior run. So this is just an etched knife that you see here, part of it. On the next page, I have bolster highlighted. Some people don't know what a bolster is. Usually it's on a folding knife. It can be brass, nickel, silver, stainless steel. It's at one or both ends of the handle. So the next slide of the pictures reflect both ends of the bolsters from that same 110. On the next page, we have the Bacarda Buck Dot cap end bolster. Next one I chose to go over was toil, an unsharpened section of a knife blade in front of the guard on the blade, also the indentation of a pocket knife blade where it joins the tang. So I gave you a picture of a Vanguard, toil, and a Duke. Then the next one I chose to highlight was a crescent nail nick, grooved, curled, notch cut on folding knife blade to facilitate opening of the blade via thumbnail or fingernail. And you'll see the 110 and the 500, and they both have the crescent nail nicks. One, of course, is much larger than the other on the 110. Then there's the next groups alphabetically. All of these are alphabetical. Go ahead. And just run through until you get to mark side, please. Mark side. The side of the blade that bears the maker's name and nail nick or pull, generally it is the left side of the blade when the knife is pointed straight away, sharp side down. So beyond that, I show 2 knives, showing them in the left direction where you're seeing the stamp. On the next screen, it's a continuation of the alphabetical terms and definitions. It may be difficult to read it on the PowerPoint, but do refer back to the March 2009 newsletter. On here we have the phenolic, pile side, pivot, rivet, pommel, prototype, radius hollow, rear bolster, ricasso, and rivets. Followed by, as you can see, rock hard fiber spacers, rocker, rivet, scales, scrimshaw, script, tang stamp, all the different kinds of sheaths. That I don't know if there's any missing, but there's 4 described there. And then shields, slip joints, springs, spine, serrations. They go all the way down through tang, and that's the end of that term and definition section. Care of your knives. Store all knives carefully to protect them and their value. Remove knives from sheaths to avoid tarnishing the metal. Keep all boxes and paperwork or Larry will shoot you. They make up a good percentage of the value of your purchase. Open boxes on the end without the identification label to avoid damage to the label. This happened to me recently, and I was opening the wrong end, and I heard it told to me that I shouldn't do that. So I made a point of putting it in the presentation as well. Clean and polish knives on a regular basis with a good cleaner, soft cloth, and a wax paste to protect them. I recommend Renaissance wax. A small can will last a lifetime and protect metal and other surfaces from damage, including pearl. You can use it on lots of things, not just the metal. Museums use this on all their valuables. And this is what it looks like. That little container of Renaissance wax runs somewhere less than $20, but you'll never have to buy it again. Sharpening knives. The Buck website has an entire section dedicated to knife sharpening and also the details for different types of sharpening. There's also an option to mail in your knife to have it sharpened at the factory. To see the whole PDF of the instructions, go to, and I gave the web address for the Buck Knives page for sharpening. A few highlights to remember very quickly. If you're a youth member, the very first tip is to get your parents' permission when sharpening and cleaning knives. Never sharpen your knife on a power-driven grinding wheel. You can chip or crack your knife and void your warranty. And I don't know if CJ turns them back. Probably not, but it voids your warranty. For best results, use a sharpening stone. Handle a sharpener with care to protect its surface. Practice sharpening on a non-valuable knife. The previous bullets have been taken directly from the Buck Knives Inc. website. This was one of the little illustrations that they had about sharpening knives. Now that you're a collector, what should you do? Practice safe handling of your knives. Open and close your knives very carefully and avoid handling any knives wet unless they're meant to be used in hunting or fishing, and then in that case you'll probably get them wet. Be respectful of your knives. A dull knife can cut you as badly as a sharp knife if handled improperly. Seek guidance from those who have more experience. Store your knives properly outside sheaths and keep them out of dampness. Put them away safely in a locked safe. Seriously consider developing a display. This will help you to learn more from your peers and to show what you've learned. Attend knife shows locally and Buck Club events to support your growing interest and to meet other collectors. Participate in club functions and support the club's projects. Decide on a theme based on a small subset to start. If you have 3 knives, make a display titled, My Favorite Knives. Your collection does not need to be large or complex to be effective. Think about situations such as how to whittle, or the Buck family, or any small subject that can be told with a few knives and some background points of interest. When buying knives, always remember the basic keys of good purchases. Buy the best condition you can afford, and avoid worn or poor condition knives, unless it is one of those that you'll never, ever, ever find in any other condition. Try to research purchases to avoid paying too much for a particular knife. Don't set the knife down. If traveling with knives, they are not allowed in carry-on luggage on airplanes and will be taken away. Pack them securely in your checked luggage. I think Mr. Burns had one in his carry-on one time that was taken away. Some travelers have suggested storage. Some travelers have suggested storage inside socks or in dirty laundry to avoid unwanted visits by airport personnel. I can't say who it was that told me that. If traveling in a car, check your state requirements for transportation if a knife is bigger than a pocket knife on your side. What I mean by that is if you try to stick a buoy underneath the front seat and you get pulled over, I don't know what your particular state might say about having hidden knives in your car. I know someone who did that. However, he was not pulled over by a policeman, but it's good to make sure that you're not doing something that you shouldn't do. Because if you're doing hunting and fishing, you can keep your knife with your hunting and fishing materials, whether it be in the trunk or what have you. Save all packing material that supports your purchases for documentation purposes, such as paper inserts, certificates of authenticity, buck knives, or jewelry boxes. Make sure you inventory your collection for insurance protection or to avoid duplicate purchases. Duplicate purchases can be done no matter how long you have been collecting knives. It seems to just happen. You'll forget you have one of some particular sort and you'll buy it again. Remember the reasons you have for collecting buck knives and accept responsibility for our club's purpose of being. Enjoy yourself. We are a not-for-profit group dedicated to the education of the public in the use of knives as tools in artistic expression and of their responsible uses. Help spread the word to others. We will share our knowledge, time, and energy with you. We will offer our friendship and camaraderie to you in order to further the ambassadorship of the Buck Knives Collectors Club and to impart our experiences with you, the new collector. We will make available means for you to learn more through our newsletters, our website, and suggestions for places to search for answers. Until next time, be safe on your way home, and thank you for listening. Does anybody have any questions? Wax, Renaissance wax.
Where do you get it?
There's one knife dealer in the United States who sells it. He's from Pennsylvania. You can put Renaissance wax in on the internet and it'll pull up his website and you can buy it from him by mail, or you can go to a knife show along the East Coast and you'll typically find him. He's called New Jersey Knifer.
Popular with the high-end gun people. It's a very good protective hood. Use just a little bit on the tip of your finger and it goes a long way.
It can be used on all kinds of materials.
Jewelry.
And they use it on the frames of paintings, all kinds of materials out of the museums, and so it's really an excellent saving for your protection.
In your slide there, you said use a good cleaner knife, and then use a Renaissance wax. Does dishwashing soap and WD-40 count as a good cleaner?
We use Flitz most of the time.
I don't know if I'd use WD-40.
WD-40 is really a moisture displacement. A lot of people think it's a lubricant. It's not. As a matter of fact, if you do not know, WD-40 is made from fish oil. And so it really is not a lubricant. It is a water displacement. So it will help in terms of corrosion. But
You might consider that Mother's Mag Wax that Leroy recommends as the first step. And Johnson's Wax for wood, and then
well, the Johnson
finish it
wax
up.
or the Renaissance wax are the same
Yeah,
guy.
so I'd say go with the Mother's Mag, and then go with finish it off with Renaissance.
Once we discovered the Renaissance wax, then that's all that we basically.
Yeah, they use that in the Tower of London over there. All the Queen's jewels and all that stuff. Well, they've been using it for quite some time. It's a natural base.
I hope you've enjoyed yourself at our rendezvous, and we'll see you, if nothing else, in like 3 years.
Now, Larry, I'm not being funny. It's going to be funny, but I'm not. We have one parent left, her parent, and he's in the upper 80s and getting older. It's just life is the way it is. And we've had a box of the pins in the trunk of our car for several months and months. And you know, I got to thinking a few days and weeks ago about traveling, and I drove over here with my 38 and my knives in that box of the pins in the trunk of the car. I thought, you know, if somebody steals a car, they're not going to open that box of the pins. make her find a car, I bet you that box will still be in the trunk. Diapers, you know, Depends, those are all great camouflages for the back of your SUV.
Are those
You know,
clean?
don't have any place.
Are those clean?
They're brand new.
Oh.
Don't put that in the newsletter.
No, I don't.
You know, I've often noticed an odor around Ken's displays.
That might be the size.
Thank you.